Happy Monday, happy new week, happy MCM, Man Crush Monday. For the ones who don't know what MCM is, today is Monday, February 27th, 2023. I shall be reading to you all the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verses 1 through 66. This is the second last day of February and the second last day of the Matthew Mark series. Just a friendly reminder, I will not be doing any scripture in 2024. I have 3 monthly series planned instead. The Catechism series, a Catechism series, a Daily Companion for Young Catholic series, and a St. Therese Quotes from Her series. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27. Jesus before Pilate. When it was morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. The death of Judas. Then Judas, his betrayer, seeing that Jesus had been condemned, deeply regretted what he had done. He returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, "I have sinned in betraying innocent blood." They said, "What is that to us? Look to it yourself." Flinging the money into the temple, he departed and went off and hanged himself. The chief priests gathered up the money, but said, "It is not lawful to deposit this in the temple treasury, for it is the price of blood." After consolation, they used it to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. That is why that field even today is called the field of blood. Then was fulfilled what had been said through Jeremiah the prophet. And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the value of a man with a price on his head. Ruffles, be quiet. A price set for some of the Israelites. Sorry, I'm going to repeat that. And they took 30 pieces of silver, the value of a man with a price on his head, a price set for some of the Israelites, and they paid it out for the potter's field, just as the Lord had commanded me. Jesus questioned by Pilate. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and he questioned him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You say so." And when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he made no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear the many things they are testifying against you?" But he did not answer him one word, so that the governor was greatly amazed. The sentence of death. Now on the occasion of the feast, the governor was accustomed to release to the crowd one prisoner whom they wished. And at that time they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. So when they had assembled, Pilate said to them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus called Messiah?" For he knew that it was out of envy that they handed him over. While he was still seated on the bench, his wife sent him a message. "I have nothing to do with that wretched man. I suffered much in a dream today because of him." The chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas, but to destroy Jesus. The governor said to them in reply, "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" They answered, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus called Messiah?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." But he said, "Why? What evil has he done?" They only shouted the louder, "Let him be crucified." When Pilate saw that he was not he was not succeeding at all, but that a riot was breaking out instead. He took water and washed his hands in the sight of the crowd, saying, "I'm innocent of this man's blood. Look to it yourselves." And the whole people said in reply, "His blood be upon us and upon our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but after he had Jesus scourged, he handed him over to be crucified. In Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, I can't remember if the word "the" is in it or not. So you have you have four options in how you want to watch the movie. One with no subtitles. Then there are three subtitles you can choose from: English subtitles, French or Spanish subtitles, I can't remember. Then the English subtitles that does like everything, including each sound. But anyway, so when Jesus is up in the Praetorium Temple area, getting judged between him and Barabbas, of course there's subtitles, and like with everything, it doesn't matter if you're doing the normal subtitles or the subtitles that does everything. After Pilate gets Jesus to be like scourged, like before Jesus gets scourged, yes, that line is in the movie. His blood be upon us and upon our children. Yes, that line is in it, but it's not subtitled. Just wanted to share that with you all. Mockery by the soldiers. Then the soldiers of the governor. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus inside the praetorium and gathered the whole cohort around him. They stripped off his clothes and threw a scarlet military cloak about him. Weaving a crown out of thorns, they placed it on his head, and a reed in his right hand. And kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They spat upon him and took the reed and kept striking him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the cloak, dressed him in his own clothes, and led him off to crucify him. My Bible is falling apart. It's from Hebrews chapter 6 to Revelation 1. That section of my Bible is like literally falling out. The way of the cross. As they were going out, they met a Cyrenian named Simon. This man they pressed into service to carry his cross. The crucifixion. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they gave Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall. And when he had tasted it, he refused to drink. After they had crucified him, they divided his garments by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there, and they placed over his head the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and the other on his left. Those passing by reviled him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who would destroy the temple in 3 days and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself if you're the Son of God, and come down from the cross." Likewise, the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him and said, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. So he is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe in him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" The revolutionaries who were crucified with him also kept abusing him in the same way. Before I go on, I find it interesting about the 2 thieves, the good thief Dismas and the bad thief Gusmus. I just find it interesting that 3 of the 4 Gospels say that both the good and bad thief threw insults at Jesus. But yeah, one of the Gospels, I can't remember which one, maybe the Gospel of Luke or John, said that only the bad thief, Gesmus, was the one who were throwing insults at Jesus. And Dismas, the good thief, on Jesus' right hand side, was the one who rebuked the others, saying Jesus is innocent, stop doing this to him. We're the ones who are justified in getting killed this way, and Jesus, please remember me in your kingdom. So yeah, I just find that interesting. It may have been the Gospel of Luke, I can't remember. Definitely not Matthew or Mark. Okay. The death of Jesus. From noon onward, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's also the first line of one of the Psalms. Psalm 23, I can't remember. I just looked it up. Psalm 22 is the psalm that he quoted on the cross. But anyway. Some of the bystanders who heard it said, this one is calling for Elijah. Immediately, one of them ran to get a sponge. He soaked it in wine and, putting it on a reed, gave it to him to drink. But the rest said, wait, let us see if Elijah comes to save him. But Jesus cried out again in a loud voice and gave up his spirit. And behold, the veil of the sanctuary was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, rocks were split, tombs were opened, and the bodies of many spirits who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming forth from their tombs after his resurrection, they entered the holy city and appeared to many. The centurion and the men with him who were keeping watch over Jesus feared greatly when they saw the earthquake and all that was happening. And they said, truly, this was the Son of God. There were many women there looking on from a distance who had followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering to him. Among them were Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. That would be James and John. The burial of Jesus. When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was himself a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be handed over. Taking the body, Joseph wrapped it in clean linen and laid it in his new tomb that he had hewn in the rock. Then he rolled a huge stone across the entrance to the tomb and departed. But Mary Magdalene and the other Mary remained there, sitting there, facing the tomb. The guard at the tomb. The next day, the one following the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, Sir, we remember, that this impostor, while he was alive, said, after 3 days I will be raised up. Give orders then that the grave be secured until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come and seal him and say to the people, he has been raised from the dead. This last impostor would be worse than the first. Pilate said to them, the guard is yours. Go secure it as best you can. So they went and secured the tomb by fixing a seal to the stone and setting the guard. That was the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verses 1 through 66. Hope this past month and the month before has been helping you in your own spiritual journey. It's always good to try to read the Bible every day. Me personally, I actually don't, which is not the greatest, but anyway, I mostly focus on mental prayer and just prayer in general. It's always good to do baby steps for something. Anyway, yeah. And tomorrow will be the last day of Matthew and Mark, that series. Technically, Mark finished on February 16th. But anyway, yeah. See you in the next video. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos and playlists. Thank you.